It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
Between reads. Not so much for you, but for me. And I'm the one who's caused a big delay. So if anyone's new to Lizzie's book club, it's meant to play out once a month. It's been a little while because I got engrossed in a book that took me down a pathway and it took me a long time to come back. So I'm just going to kick things off today because I know Di's got 2 books and one's a giveaway. So we'll save that till last. So Di, you've been hearing me talking about this book for a little while, a number of months. The Body Keeps the Score, a book written by Bessel van der Kolk. Now, he is a Dutch-American psychiatrist, trauma researcher. So just from that, you can tell it's a fairly light read. It's taken me a long time to get through it. One of the reasons I read this book, back when I was on Star, previous to Sanctuary, there was a couple of listeners who actually told me about this book, Di.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
and one of them was also a naturopath, and obviously from some things that I talk about on the show, made them think that it could be of interest to me, and it has been of interest to me. It talks of mind, brain and body and the transformation of trauma. And, that's not a light read. Now, I will just say this book is not for everyone. I mean, there's no way. Some people just hear what I'm talking about and just zone out, and that's all good. But it is for some of us. However, it has taken me a long time to read it because it's not a little skip in the park. It's quite confronting and it can push your own buttons. But also I'm reading it and I'm going, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm understanding things about other people. I also do feel that I can't do it justice.
Okay.
And talking about it because it's just so deep. So in the book, he's talking with people who have been through difficult things, whether it's child abuse, trauma. I mean, we all go through things. War veterans with PTSD. So all sorts of things. And it's really, as the title shows, the body keeps a score. Stuff does get ingrained in us. And even them looking at whatever it is, like not an ECG, but those sort of things that they put on the brain and they check brain activity. Trauma impacts the way a brain develops or doesn't develop. And so I'm reading this going, oh my goodness. I'm thinking of somebody, I'm thinking, wow, they just didn't even receive that love. They didn't receive all those good things. They received a lot of bad things and how it actually impacts their ability to function. But it's not all bad news, and it's not all about taking medication. It's about a whole bunch of other things that can help people. And this is over 30 years of research, and the book was published about 10 years ago. I know to date at least 1 million people have read it.
Wow.
So it's quite something else. And, there was one part where it talks about somebody who was a Vietnam vet, comes home with the family, and it's Guy Fawkes or something like that, and the fireworks go off, bang, they are triggered and they are back there in that time. And ways of actually changing things and moving things for people, that there are ways forward. A lot of it's actually understanding and giving space to what we may have experienced. And also one part of it talks about the use of theatre and drama. Towards the end of the book, they're working with some kids, maybe it's in New York, I can't remember, who've lived through a lot of trauma in their lives, and how coming into a drama sort of theatre place with people who have experience of abuse, so they've got that understanding, and putting what they've experienced into theatre and giving it voice, but also starting to go, oh, so you've been through this too. I'm not just the only one. And yeah, massive shifts actually. Some of the stories he talks about, some of these war veterans, he treats people, but he actually talks about that the theatre work actually did more for them, being able to tell their stories.
Yeah.
He also touches on something that, not all therapy is good therapy, and some therapy, all it ends up doing is re-traumatizing people, and you don't want that. I actually know of a great model, a Christian model, which was developed by Dr. Di DeVette here in New Zealand, a refocusing therapy, and it's about actually finding God in that space. He doesn't as well, so you go to where the life is, you don't go where the trauma is. But somehow God brings healing. He doesn't talk about this so much in this book, but like I say, this book isn't for everyone, but it is for some people. And I really felt from reading it that, this world that we live in, there just seems to be greater divides of people with us and them mentalities. And I just read this book and some of it made me weep. And I thought, if we only actually understood where we'd come from, what we've been through, maybe even what we're still living with, we would look at each other with a whole lot more compassion and a whole lot more empathy. And boy, the world needs that.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is that just sounds really interesting, Lizzie. And, when I first heard the title, I misunderstood it, I think. I thought it was going to be all about your trauma, your stuff. But it actually sounds like it's a book that you read, and yes, you can probably understand that better, but it's about understanding others as well.
Yeah, totally.
And giving them the grace, because actually some of their behaviours and some of their choices are possibly based on some of the things that they've had in the past. So that just sounds like a really encouraging book.
Yeah, well, it talks about the brain.
Yeah.
You've never experienced safety in your life, and so you might be in a situation where people perhaps expect you to behave a certain way, and you're actually responding to everything around you and getting triggered and you're maybe having meltdowns or whatever. Like, people are just so complex.
Yeah.
And I always think at the end of the day, however tough we might think we are, at the end of the day, we all need to eat, we all need to sleep, we all need to go to the bathroom. These basic things we need in order to function. We're sort of at the end of the day, even though we're grown up, we're sort of like, we needed all those things when we were babies. We're still the same. So, like I say, it's not a book for everyone, but for those who are just maybe wanting to understand themselves, understand the world around them. I mean, if you're a counsellor, which I know many counsellors know this book already, or you're working with troubled youth, or you've just got somebody in your family who is dealing with things. I mean, I just think we all have stuff. Some of us have bigger stuff, some of us have smaller stuff, but in terms of understanding mankind, I highly recommend it.
All right.
The Body Keeps a Score, Bessel van der Kolk. Okay, that's me done. When we come back, we are going to be hearing from Di, who's got some lighter reads, Di.
I always say, it's good to have a different sort of book each time you read a new one.
Yeah.
I've been reading Up a Storm lately, Lizzie, and it was so hard to choose which book to talk to you about today. But this, by far, has to be one of my favourites. So today I'm talking about a book by an author named Wendell Berry. Now, he's a well-known name to perhaps those in the literary circles. He's a poet, he's a writer, he's a short story writer, he's a farmer, he is an environmentalist.
Sounds like an interesting chap.
Oh, he really is. He's 91 years old now,
Wow.
An academic who, moved back to his roots and is now this farmer. And he's got a very interesting life, some very interesting essays that takes a look at the world. He's a cultural critic as well. But the book I'm talking about today was delightful. Delightful. That's what I want to
delightful.
say. It's called Stand By Me, and please don't think it's like the movie.
Okay.
It's very different.
Okay.
This is a series of short stories based in a little town called Port William in Kentucky.
Wow.
In rural Kentucky. And it spans 4 generations. And so, yes, they can be read individually just as a story, these short stories, but really they span the lifetime of these generations within this little town called Port William. It starts off, I think it was the second story in. I don't have the book in front of me, unfortunately. But we hear about all of these different people within Port William. The one that I remember the most, Ben and Matt Feltner. Now, Matt Feltner is the son of Ben Feltner. We hear about as a child how when, he was born back in the day, they all wore smocks, dresses. So for a little, it's quite an interesting one. He's like, I don't know, I'm just wearing a dress, And then his neighbour, who was a girl who, when they're older, she ended up having his smocks.
Wow.
It's just funny. And then and then as he grows up, his dad, Ben, was actually shot by his best friend,
Oh, gosh.
Thaddeus. And so you're hearing all these stories, and that obviously affected Matt's lifetime from there on in. And you think, gosh, that doesn't sound light and fluffy.
No.
Don't you worry. There's more light and fluffy stories on the way. There's the story of Miss Minnie and her beau, and how there was, she got herself drunk because she didn't want him to drink. So she drank his bottle of whiskey, but actually the bottle of whiskey, and it was during the Prohibition times.
Oh, gosh.
So anyway, it's just a funny old book. I really enjoyed it. He is an expert writer. If you love how words come together, and if you love the way that words can paint a picture, he is an excellent writer. So yes, they are simple stories of simple times, but actually it tells an overarching story of 4 generations that, once was a bustling town. But if you know small town America, a lot of those small towns are much diminished now for various reasons. But he talked a lot about wanderlust, how people just want to go out and see the world, but that actually has a real effect on community and how communities, evolve and develop and thrive. So, yeah, it's a great book. Can't say enough about Stand By Me. I'm going to be honest.
Wow, I'm impressed by your review. You're not even reading notes or anything. That's all just coming out of you.
Oh, because I loved it so much.
Because you loved it.
I loved it so much.
That's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
So, one more book from you.
One more book.
I just had one today, seeing I went on so long about it.
Yeah.
But you've got a giveaway, right?
I do.
Yay.
I love cookbooks. I can't help myself.
And you're willing to give it away.
I know.
Even though you love them.
I really do love them. But
What's this one called?
I have enough of them. This one I wanted to keep, and I thought, no, don't be selfish. This is called The Hungry Cook. In fact, if you go to bookstores at the moment, you'll see it. It's on the shelves. It's
Who's it by?
Olivia Golightly. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. But she is a blogger. She loves food. She creates recipes for Dish magazine as well, so people might be more familiar with her work there.
Awesome.
But look, this is one of these books that I'm like, yeah, for the home cook who's got a hungry family, there are some very good meals in there. Look, the one that I thought looked really fun, though, and I'm experimenting with sandwiches these days, the chicken, celery, and tarragon sandwiches.
Oh, that sounds nice.
A little bit of crunch.
I like a bit of crunch.
This one I actually did recreate. It's the spiced beef, chickpea, and date stew.
Oh.
I know.
That sounds...
It's the dates that got me.
kind of almost Mediterranean.
It is. And she put it on a bed of rice, but you could put it on a bed of couscous, whatever you want to do there.
Okay.
But yeah, it is a very, very lovely, beautifully done cookbook with recipes that are great for the family.
So cool. Thanks, Di. Okay,
No
so let's
worries.
just recap our 3 books today on Lizzie's Book Club. The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk. Di.
I also have Stand By Me by Wendell Berry.
And the name of the cookbook?
Yes, sorry, The Hungry Cook by Olivia Golightly.
Not The Hungry Caterpillar.
No!
But
Not
stick
that.
around. Book club's finished. But when I come back next, I'm going to give you an opportunity to win that book. Thank you so much, Di. Appreciate catching up with you again today on the Book Club.